Canelo Alvarez has vacated his 168 super middleweight belt that he got from defeating the infamous Rocky Fielding. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link. It does help my channel. I'm an affiliate. Thank you. Thank you. Hope everyone had a good holiday, and let's jump into it. So according to all the reports, Canelo has vacated his WBA regular super middleweight title. He got that title in defeating Rocky Fielding. This is according to Eddie Hearn, who works with DAZN, the same imprint platform that Canelo was signed to, right? He said that Eddie Hearn said the WBA gold titleist Lennox Allen has been put forward to fight for the regular belt. He wants to make John Ryder his opponent and for Ryder to remain Caleb Smith's mandatory. So, you know, Eddie Hearn trying to cook something up. John Ryder really beat Caleb Smith, so he shouldn't have to wait for mandatories or fight for regular gold titles and all this stuff, because he really beat Caleb Smith. And the scorecards 117, 111 and all this were terrible. These are horrible scorecards. Caleb Smith lost the fight just like Katie Taylor, just like Triple G versus Deryevchenko, all Eddie Hearn fighters. So hopefully something gets done about this, about all these wonky scorecards that keep coming out on Eddie Hearn cards. Now, as fact, I don't even know who Lennox Allen is, you know, but whoever that is versus Dave Allen might fight for Canelo's old belt. And, you know, new media, this is no shock to me. I told you what the deal was, and the walls were closing in for Canelo Alvarez. Do you believe me now? Canelo Alvarez just defeated Sergey Kovalev. In my opinion, the fight looked FAF. Something about the fight didn't really add up to me, but nonetheless, he got past him, and now he's giving up his super middleweight belt. They try to make Canelo create his own legacy that he's telling people is legacy, as opposed to just fighting the traditional fights that kind of make more sense, like Demetrius Andrade, Jamal Charlo, guys that were already in his division. Canelo Alvarez said he wanted to unify the middleweight division. Out of nowhere, he moves up to 175 to fight Kovalev in a fight nobody asked for. And as a result, you've seen the numbers were never released, so I'm assuming they didn't do what they were supposed to do. You see the weigh-in look dry. You see Canelo Alvarez take a backseat to UFC 244 and have to be on standby waiting for the main event for a UFC rival promoters card, even though DAZN has Bellator, which was a nasty, horrible look. And you know, this stuff wasn't a good look. It wasn't beneficial to Canelo's career. It really put things in perspective about Canelo's current star power. Yes, he has good numbers in the past, but recently doesn't look like he's been putting up the same numbers. And I told you the walls were closing in. Canelo is going to have to fight one of the fights that people want to see him fight without all the stipulations and clauses. A guy who's considered more of a contemporary, younger, possibly younger than Canelo, around the same age, maybe a little bit older, but not guys who were considered like Kovalev, Mosley, and different guys like that, Cotto, where they're probably going to retire within a few fights, or people are beckoning and requesting them to retire because that's where they're at. Even Floyd Mayweather, he was like 37, I think, and Canelo was 23. So he was much older than Canelo, and he still whooped Canelo. So now Canelo vacating the 168-pound belt. You know, he can't just be in 3 different divisions and hold the belts hostage. That's just what it is. And especially the more time passes, if Canelo doesn't start producing real numbers like he did in the past, then it's going to be harder and harder for him to dictate every term, every stipulation, throw in this unnecessary stuff in the contract, because Canelo for all intents and purposes, is trapped on the app. He's trapped on the app. He's not pushing out the same numbers. The promotion was lackluster. In fact, the YouTuber card on DAZN got a far better push from the company DAZN, and that was KSI versus Logan Paul 2. And truth be told, you know, it just made more noise all around and got more viewership. Like, if you look at the online videos from DAZN's YouTube and KSI's YouTube and Logan Paul, they all posted the weigh-in, and just based on their immense fan base, it got more attention. I already told you Deontay Wilder, you've seen his weigh-in, you've seen his fight. It was, people were left with more of a satisfactory feeling. Luis Ortiz tried, and then he ended up getting knocked out. So it was much better pacing than Canelo Kovalev. But with Canelo vacating the belt, I expected this. You can't simply have 3 belts in 3 divisions and not fight anybody. And again, the walls are closing in. Canelo has great fights at 168, like David Benavidez, like Caleb Plant. You know, Caleb Smith was an option, but he looked pretty poor, as I mentioned earlier in this video, and he really should have lost to John Ryder. So it's going to be difficult for Canelo to just cherry pick, because if he fights Billy Joe Saunders, Triple G, or Caleb Smith, they're all coming off of bad wins. You know what I'm saying? Bad wins. Caleb Smith really lost, and there was a robbery, bad scorecard. Same thing with Golovkin versus Deryevchenko. And then for much of 10, 11 rounds, Billy Joe Saunders didn't look good against the unknown Corceres, whoever he is, you know? So if Canelo chooses one of these guys, which is likely, you know, I don't see how it's a good look. Even if they try to squeeze Triple G versus Cez Meta in there, that doesn't really do much, because no one knows who Cez Meta is, and he doesn't look like he poses enough of a threat. He has 4 or 5 knockouts in 20 plus fights. So who is that? So we'll see how it plays out. But new media, this is playing out exactly how I told you it was going to play out. Canelo doesn't look likely unless the media gets behind and listens to new media and the fans and start pushing for the more decorated fights that we could celebrate. That's just it. That's the only thing that has got to be. But if Canelo, like I said, we're going to see. If he fights Triple G3, a guy he loathes and said he didn't want to fight, or Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Smith coming off bad performances, I think we'll continue to see, and I actually know, because Billy Joe Saunders, that was his American debut. Caleb Smith, American debut was Hassan Endam on a card where everyone else pretty much lost, the Anthony Joshua Ruiz card. So none of these guys have really been branded in America. The best bet is to fight Billy Joe or Caleb Smith in the UK, and hopefully they'll buy it because they don't get an opportunity to see Canelo. So you can look for that to be a play. But as far as America, and you have to understand, DAZN is in a real precarious position as well, because if the best opportunity, Canelo is saying he doesn't want to fight Triple G. So unless he goes against his word and fights him, then that's that. But the other guys that look pretty likely is Caleb Smith and Billy Joe Saunders, who have a far better fan base in the UK than they do in the USA. So you could put it in the UK, but once again, that's a poor decision for DAZN, because if it's in the UK, it's going to come on at a time that isn't advantageous in America. You get what I'm saying? So if you put it in the UK based on the time zone difference, it's going to come on just like Ruiz Joshua Part 2. It's going to come on at some weird time, which is in prime time for the US. So DAZN, they got some real tough things and tough questions to answer as far as their programming, because guys like Saunders and Caleb Smith, they haven't even been branded in America. So I don't really see those fights being successful. You just seen what happened with Kovalev, the Kovalev-Canelo fight, and Kovalev actually had a name in America. The difference with that fight is, don't believe anyone believed Kovalev was in his prime. I told you from the beginning, Canelo Kovalev was an advanced cherry pick. There was weight rehydration clause that Kovalev hasn't had to do since he had the IBF belt, which was years ago, before he lost to Andre Ward. And Like I said, he was almost coming off of a knockout loss in the Anthony Yard fight. So it just didn't make sense. But he at least had a name in America, and it still didn't do numbers. So what do you think Caleb Smith or Billy Joe Saunders fights would do when they haven't been branded in America? That's a tough ask, expecting that to go viral. You look at Errol Spence and Sean Porter. Good fight, great fight weekend event. People knew who they were. Sean Porter, all of his fights are in America. All of Errol Spence's fights in America. It's just these companies, Top Rank and DAZN, I don't see them winning with the formula that HBO already tried towards the end, which made them get out of boxing. Celebrating every other fighter and trying to brand all these foreign fighters and not utilizing the American talent. Like just having your roster with people that nobody knows in America. Tyson Fury versus Otto Violin, and Tyson Fury, Tom Schwartz. These types of fights, they're going to be muted. Tyson Fury's not a big enough star in his own right in America where he's just going to demand a crazy crowd no matter who he's fighting. He's not Mayweather, Same thing with Canelo. If Canelo Kovalev did suspect numbers and Kovalev actually made a good name for himself in the Andre Ward fights and fights that were on HBO, like the Jean Pascal fight, even though that was in Canada, it was televised and picked up part 1 and 2 by an American broadcaster, right? But these other guys, Caleb Smith and Billy Joe Saunders, they haven't really made a huge splash in America, so it doesn't make sense to put the fight in America. Or you could take it to the UK, but then that doesn't benefit DAZN. We're going to see how this plays out. I can't wait. I've been telling you the same thing. New media. If you love what I'm doing, smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.